ChatGPT, Grok, Anthropic, Cloud. None of these are lost souls trapped in your phone. Or maybe they are, that choice is up to you. Nor are we lost souls trapped in the Matrix-ish. Two-track Larry's Rejoice. In reality, the truth is, lost souls just sounds really badass. The truth is, you're not you.
You can't say that, you don't want Jones coming back, dude.
Here and now, how are you tied to anything you've ever done, positive or negative? Is it what you've done, the things you've earned, or the relationships you've made? How do you know what you've earned? How do you know what you've gathered? And how do you know who your family actually is? If nobody agreed who their friends necessarily were, or what they necessarily earned, or who owns, nobody agreed what has been gathered. The very structure of all of this thing we're falling apart that ties you from me to everything else that separates stuff falls apart. Except the thing is, that actually sounds a lot like our current reality, where the most basic elements of reality can be disagreed upon. As long as we all roughly agree enough, we can nourish the same illusion.
Next day, Josh, and if you like this content, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot.
The illusion that holds everyone's images to the front of their skull. The one that causes people to kill themselves. The illusion separating wealth from poor. The one telling us to beware of the invisible enemy and to hoard toilet paper. What makes an illusion strongest is if the very people trying to escape it only create their own version of it. The kind of illusion we simply do not know how to survive without. Did you know memories actually create physical structures in the shape of your brain? So I suppose I must be my body. Oh no, every part of my body gets replaced every 7 years. So I've only got 7 years left to live. And memories are not designed to store detail, but rather to catalog emotional states, to train you for best behavior. You gotta survive, you know. So if memories are inaccurate and no one agrees about anything, what keeps me me again? Certainly my memories, habits, friends, and opinions can't be all it is, because all those things are temporary and it feels too real. So it must be. A soul. That's right, I'm a thing outside my body called a soul, and science can't touch it. I'm not going to judge you for feeling satisfied with that. I mean, genuinely, I don't judge you at all for feeling satisfied with that. But you may notice the one thing about each solution, no one ever stops to ask if we were a thing in the first place. No one ever really wondered why they need to know why they are what they are. It's an observation like any other, but no one stops to make sure that observation is correct. We see that the body consumes and replaces itself, and we see that every aspect of personality and self will change over time. And from this, we cope by inventing something unchangeable, something static. On this little blue dot weighing billions of tons, we fly around the sun, that flies around the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. As our galaxy rapidly approaches Andromeda, and we and all other galaxies approach the great attractor to which we will never identify. I'm sure it's quite comfy to know that your one single self, your soul, among all this motion, evolution, and chaos, hasn't changed since the start. I almost feel bad for bringing it to your attention, like dragging a cozy old man out into the winter snow. But hey, you're not an old man and I want a snowball fight. I no longer feel bad. Get the fuck over it. You see, that's a great example of the temporality of emotion. Hate fades to love, anger fades to trust, faith fades into skepticism, and morals decay into tyranny. Governments become cosplays and planets become asteroids. As of yet, the only unchanging thing to which I have ever observed is the fact that absolutely everything eventually changes. So let go, flake away, and consume your last self. Seek happiness, seek victory. And to quote one of my favorite magicians, do as thou wilt. At this point, some of you may be thinking, this guy is probably one of those skeptical atheist types that doesn't believe in anything and just likes to be cynical. And you're not entirely wrong. But unlike most atheists, I've directly seen and encountered things that most people would consider spiritual, or I'm crazy. I have vivid memories of what anyone that remembered what I remember would just call a past life in Rome 1100 years ago. And what can be done? Nobody's socks always match. When I looked deeper into what I saw and chased down the things I was experiencing, when I started learning as many different traditions of magic as I could, and reading almost every religious text to try and extrapolate something valuable from it, there was a huge shift in the clarity of things I experienced. Notably, when the fogginess was removed, nothing was spiritual anymore. To an infinite hallway that I was led into from a pile of brush out in the middle of nowhere. I estimate probably about half the things I remember are things that didn't actually ever happen. In that hallway that I was talking about, a really chill guy named Gustav explained a lot of stuff to me, and none of it was spiritual stuff. He explained quantum physics to me. He was explaining entanglement and particles. Particularly, he was explaining something called chaos law, which I had never heard of, and when I tried to look up what he was telling me about it, actually, it's a more accurate depiction of entropy than is typically taught. Entropy is typically the idea that everything will find its natural place of rest within the universe, but in actuality, everything in the universe approaches the state of maximal chaos or maximal disarray. Everything falls out of order. That's the actual pattern. If you want to hear a version of entropy that is extremely similar to what I heard from Gustav, I recommend Veritasium's video on it. He also uses chaos as a descriptor, and I find it to be a very useful descriptor if you actually want to understand how that works. I also remember being given a ring that absorbed into my finger and being injected in my guts with some kind of like large syringe of stuff. Again, that never happened because my finger isn't that way. Not a thing. Nevertheless, I remember it happening, just like I remember any other thing that I remember in my head. It's not weird to me. It's not like I'm losing it or anything. It's just like, I remember this thing. It didn't happen. I can tell it didn't happen because, yeah, obviously, you know, rings don't fucking do that. What I'm basically telling you is ignore everything you hear from everywhere and experience it yourself. It's not that hard. You got eyes, you got ears, you got a hand? Lazy ass? When you experience it, it's apples all the way up. See in room
311.
We got a town hall that's related to the city governor. He says stuff that maybe a senator will hear. The senator votes yes or no on whatever bills the president is passing. The president typically is supposed to coordinate actions with a bunch of advisors. Those advisors are influenced by everything going down in the rest of the world in other governments. It's one of those things where the further you go up, it just includes more people and it gets more complicated and there's more moving parts to take care of. The whole ascension thing, the idea of heaven and hell and blibbity blah blah blah, let's oversimplify. Dude, it's apples all the way up. It doesn't get any simpler. There's nothing perfect. It's apples all the way up. Are you happy? Apples all the way up, baby. Am I telling you you don't have a soul? No. Am I telling you you do have a soul? No. I'm telling you that there is literally no point in defining yourself. You see, that's what happens when you define yourself, Jeffrey. You'll eventually be wrong about it, fam. And it doesn't do any good for anybody. It doesn't do you any good to define yourself. It doesn't do me any good for you to define yourself, or me. You don't need to be defining all these things. Your words are useless, bro. They're not useless, but they're useless here. Stop defining shit. I suspect all this self-definition is actually aiding and embedding your depression, which is why I've hired 3 hitmen. Now who's the invisible enemy, Jerry? Just try to roll with it. I mean, it doesn't all need to if everything needed to make sense, then you wouldn't be, you know, SpongeBob shit. What I'm saying is you need to get the fuck out of that cozy little shack you've been staying in. You'll gain weight, you'll lose mobility, so go out into the woods and chop yourself some firewood and live or die. That's the only thing that matters, right here, right now. You can think of the rest as thoughtful little illusions or elves or something, because all this self-definition you've downloaded is eating up your CPU.